Hello and welcome to Pop Snitch Podcast, where I'm your host, Rachel.
And I'm Brandon.
And we're here to talk about stories from the week and recap some of our favorite reality TV shows. How are you, Brandon?
Doing good. I'm doing good. Today was a scorcher here in New York. I've been sweating all day and I'm still recovering from my bike injury, which has, my knee is completely shot out and I've been trying to rest it. But when you live in New York, that's very difficult.
Well, and I can't hear the end of it enough. Every moment of every day that we're together, you say some variation of my knee hurts and you've been to the doctor. You're okay. and yet.
Yeah, you're going to continue to hear about it. I'm not going to lie to you. That's just going to be a fact of life here for a second.
Okay, well, I guess I've broken like 30 bones in the last 5 years and you've had to take care of me. So I'll do my duty in sickness and in health.
Amen. Hallelujah. So we wanted to start the podcast off today with just a couple of reality TV slash gossip entertainment type stories. And the first of which is this continued drama of Paige and Craig.
Yes.
Craig recently went on a podcast that you frequent, The Toast, and was saying some things that were troubling to me as someone who is always a Paige stan. Why don't you talk about that for a second?
Sure. I was about to say, speaking of marriage, let's talk about Craig Conover. He was on The Toast with Jackie. Claudia's out right now. I have to say, I used to listen to The Toast. I have not listened to it once since they excused Elon's like weird salute. I knew their belief systems and stuff before, and I guess tried to ignore it for a while, but I don't listen to it at all anymore. I unsubscribed. But I perked up today because Page 6 said that Craig proves that he bought the ring. So I went to look at it on YouTube to like find in the transcript where he talks about it so that I could be clear. And he said so many things that were interesting. I mean, Craig is a known liar. The fact that someone can say he's a known liar and that they have a bunch of B-roll when he and Kyle were in that huge fight, and I guess they remain in that. And by the way, the girls from The Toast, that's the other company that Craig worked with.
Yeah. Their husbands or something run that company, right?
They all do. They
okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And well, I guess, yeah. And so that was the big controversy on Summer House this past season, that Craig was like sponsoring and working as a brand ambassador with them. So anyway, he went on The Toast. I found out today he's gotten so close with their family that he went to their bris. Interesting thing about their family is that their mom is not allowed to go to, I want to say like Great Britain or something, because she posted such Islamophobic things and like it said such crazy things years ago. She's like literally banned from a country.
I mean, if a conservative man goes through a canceling, just believe that he's immediately going to become like very Christian all of a sudden after years of no Christianity or any kind of involvement in religion at all. A man gets canceled and he's like, he found God.
He's born again. He gets canceled and he is born again to our chagrin. Okay.
Yes.
But anyway, so he goes on The Toast and he's talking about a couple of things. So first he says that like he doesn't read comments. Like, how could he have even known that this controversy was swirling? This has been talked about in the news for weeks now, for maybe over a month. Like, I honestly don't, I know
well,
it was
it's bigger
about,
than that. It's bigger than that because on the final episode of this season, final episode of this season, she's like, there was no ring. What is this nonsense about there being a ring? If he would have had a ring, it would have literally been presented to me immediately.
Well, he was saying that he was waiting on her to propose, and she has like tried to keep him from like keep that at bay. We've seen that on TV like time and time again. I think what was interesting to me in hearing him tell it, one thing about Craig's lies, he always tells too many details. So he's telling Jackie that he's like describing this nondescript building in New York City in the Diamond District. And he said that he went to a guy who does like commercial diamond sales, but does engagement rings on the side. And already I was kind of like, just chalking like, throwing engagement rings on the side. Like, it sounded odd. And he's like, yeah, the minute I bought it, he told me, like, don't even worry if you have to bring it back. Like, I'll work with you. Excuse? No, he
bring
didn't.
it back.
Yeah, he said that he
If you
started
have to
like
bring
that.
it back.
Well, yeah, first of all, if someone's telling you, like, if you need to bring this back, like, maybe pay attention, you know? So anyway, he tells Jackie that he was, like, hurt and shocked that people wouldn't believe that he bought a ring. And so he proceeds to pull it up on his camera roll and show her. So he says that he bought the ring in, like, March. And that he went with his brother and sister-in-law, or sister and brother-in-law, that Paige didn't know, that he told her he was doing something with a production company, and that he described the ring. But the picture that she showed on the toast was just a ring in a box, like a ring in a black box. And then she's like, just so you know, the geotag is in Charlotte. You know, I can see it on his nightstand. And I'm like, there's so much you can do.
Well, first of all, like, he got the ring in New York, and the geotag on this thing is in Charleston. That proves absolutely nothing.
Well, she's saying it proves that he took it home.
Oh,
that he,
give me a break.
Actually had it.
If he screenshotted that in Charleston, the geotag would be Charleston. So I don't want to hear that. That proves absolutely nothing.
That's exactly what I was thinking. She said that there was a picture of it next to one of his coasters and on his bedside table, which we've all seen on TV, but they did not show that on the YouTube clip. So I'm like, it
is not beyond this man to go and buy a ring and put it on that table and snap a picture of it. Let's just go there. And
the only one she
seriously.
commented on the geotag, but it was from March, like the date, the timestamp on it was from March. So I don't know what to believe. It's hard to believe Craig ever.
Well, he's a serial liar. I mean,
Yeah.
I think his best friends in the world would say that he's a serial liar.
Well, they have.
That his best friends in the world said just recently that they're scared of him.
Yeah. All of them said
that he scares them.
Yeah.
And so, like, I don't think even if this is true, even if Paige is lying about this, like, it's impossible to take his side. It's impossible to believe him in this scenario, even if he's right. And that's the problem with just being a habitual liar, is that no one can actually believe you.
Yeah. He just, his entire demeanor is so focused on his businesses, which I get, but he even said, like, I really think everyone needs to touch grass and everyone needs to be, like, volunteering, which I don't disagree with, but he was like, especially if you're a small business, you can send the proceeds, insinuating like it really helps with taxes was like the vibe I got. I don't know if that's just me, but everything he says feels disingenuous to me. And I don't know why. Maybe that's a me problem, but I can't help it. I still don't buy it. Oh, and he was like, oh, and it was so weird when I took it back. And she was like, well, why didn't you just resell it yourself? And then he was basically like, that wouldn't have gone over well with, like, the Bravo audience.
The receipts of his deceptions are so thick. And, like, these guys just wanting
thicker than this screenshot, for sure.
Yes, wanting people to believe them as if they are just like they have a clean bill of health in the reality TV world. Like, we can look back upon 8-9 seasons of your treachery. It's really hard to believe you. It's really hard.
Well, one thing about the Bravo boys is that they want to mess around, want to act crazy, want to treat women like commodities. And then once they hit about 35, all of a sudden they're like, aside from Shep, they're like, you really should take me seriously. Like, I now would like a wife and family, and I want children, and so I have businesses. Look at me, I'm a businessman.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you're not. Like, you're still getting paid primarily from TV, which is fine. But, and like, Craig does have, like, I understand he's like a small owner and all of these things. He's got people who run it for him, which is smart. But I think it's so interesting, like, that trope with all of the guys from Bravo, even Kyle on Summer House this season being like, I'm 42, I really thought I'd have kids by now. It's like, last summer, you were telling your wife that she wasn't ready for children.
She was literally begging to move to the suburbs last summer. And he just kept like, I don't know. Don't know if I'm ready yet. Don't know if you're ready yet. You know, and it's like, and now this has been their relationship from the very beginning, though. I know, it's always been fraught. Which is the scary part about the upcoming season. Yeah. Or like, are we going to see some disillusion of their...
Like a slow roll of a separation or something like that. I mean, he's DJing so much right now that I'm
Yeah,
concerned.
I worry about it. He's got a New Jersey gig this weekend.
Mm-hmm. And like Kyle does have some of truly like the funniest one-liners on TV, I think. And I love how crazy he is, but I don't know. And I felt sorry for him. I feel like so much has come to light with the Craig and Kyle of it all as well. And we just rewatched that season to try to get more of a feel for it, to try to figure out what's going to happen this season. I am really curious to see who they cast because they've lost so many people. I think everybody else is confirmed. I don't know that Gabby's confirmed yet, but I think everybody else is, aside from obviously like Lexi and Paige.
Yeah, I mean, they're starting. If they haven't already started, it'll start next weekend.
I also learned something about Jesse Solomon from Page 6. I think I told you this yesterday, and it's that he's from Florida, and like so much makes sense now
Florida
for
man.
me.
Florida man.
Florida man. Like that really checks out because he wasn't reading to me New York. Like I couldn't explain. And they kept saying he's from Chicago. And I was like, I guess, yeah, Midwestern, but he doesn't read that to me either. Florida, Miami. Okay. Now I'm understanding just a bit more.
Right. Yeah. So the second story that I wanted to talk about is Tom Schwartz went on Lala's podcast this week. And as a former Tom Schwartz apologist, I was very interested to see kind of what he would say. And one of the questions, they did one episode, which is him talking about his involvement with the Valley and all of this. But the one thing that I thought was really interesting and I think could be talked about a little further is Lala did a Q&A, a second podcast with him that's just Q&A from fans. And the first question was, if you weren't on the show, do you think that you and Katie would still be married? And his answer to that was that no, that he actually owned the fact that he's just a bad boyfriend and a bad husband, and like fully owned the whole thing of like he caused the relationship to end. He just was not good, that the relationship had kind of soured romantically and all of this. So I was like, because I was fearful when I saw just like the pre-clip where it didn't have his answer, that he was going to be like, oh, it's the show, it's the fans, they drove us apart, and like all of that nonsense that some of the guys try to pull when this kind of thing happens. But he actually owned a good bit of it. So I was happy about that.
Did he happen to say like what he's done since then to try to not be a bad boyfriend and husband?
Well, I think the number one thing is not have a girlfriend or a long-term partner post the Joe debacle on the show. And so I think another part of it is, you know, what is that man going to do? Like, I mean, he's going to be on Love Hotel. Like, what is that going to look like?
He's just going to stay in the Bravo universe, which like more power to him. He's making money. He's doing what he's doing. He has a great fan base. I think starting the podcast for him is really smart, to be honest. But I do wonder, did they say anything? Did they ask him anything about how he feels about Katie and her new man?
Oh, yeah. He says he's really happy for her, to see her happy. They still have a good relationship with the dogs and all of that, which I'm happy to hear for Butters and Gordo's sake.
Well, like the truth is, like they had been just best friends since almost the beginning of the show.
No,
the entire time.
The only redeeming quality of the final season is seeing them rekindle their friendship and be able to laugh at each other, and for her to be zinging him again, but him to like, oh, thank God she likes me again because she's zinging me. Like I did like that.
Yeah. I think it'll be interesting. Schwartzy, the only reason I think that he's going to work on the Valley, and we'll talk about the Valley in a minute, is because he kind of humanizes Jax, who is acting like the narcissistic person that he is, and I think they're trying to use Schwartz to soften that. But I don't know what his storyline's going to be. Is it just going to be like Jax's caretaker, BFF? Or are they going to want him to like go on dates and blah, blah, blah? Because honestly, I'm not super interested in that.
I mean, I think we can just move right into the Valley stuff because some of the other stories I'm not that interested in. But the Jax of it all is, I don't know that Jax is going to be, I mean, maybe Bravo keeps him on the show, but there is a huge call on the internet just to be done with him.
Well, that was going to be the last story that I talked about. Is
okay, great.
Katie and Stassi were talking on a podcast about how they felt like the first season of The Valley was interesting and like funny and introduced us to some fun characters. And then this season, everyone has said it's really dark, and the darkness isn't like counterbalanced with humor or like super lovable people. Like, I feel like even in the worst of Vanderpump Rules, like, you were still pulling for someone every season.
Oh, there's not a season where maybe the last one is a little rough, but everything up to
Ariana.
that. Yeah, totally.
Well, I think also there's a lot of chatter on the internet about like the showrunner. I don't remember his name. I feel like it starts with a J. But apparently the guy who did like the darker season of Vanderpump that was poorly received is doing this season of The Valley. And there was one other one that he led to its death, and I can't remember what it is. But he loves like a male redemption arc, and all like literally every single season that he's done has had this like villain to hero arc of some sort, or tried to.
Well, can we please talk about this backyard seance with all the men in the Valley? So the Valley episode.
Let's get into the recap
Tuesday.
from last night.
Okay, great. So towards the beginning of the episode, Jesse invites his life coach, because the man could not be troubled to get an actual therapist or someone who is actually licensed to do the kind of work that he needs.
Jesse will do ayahuasca, mushrooms, have a seance in his backyard, hire a life coach, anything but go to therapy. Truly.
This is coming from people who are going to participate in a cacao ceremony on Monday.
We sure are.
Shout out to Ariana for inviting us to that. But they invite this Scott, the life coach, over, and he's obviously like deeply a part of the manosphere.
I was going to say the same thing. I wrote that down too.
Oh my word. My light just went out. Hold up. Let me. Yeah.
Which light was it?
The one that.
Oh, perfect. There you are.
Isn't it crazy how big of a difference that is, though?
Yeah, that was wild. You literally just went completely dark.
Completely black. Okay.
Do you want to start over on the recap?
I think we had some good stuff going there, so I'm just going to talk about Scott. Start talking about Scott again.
Scott in the manosphere?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's pretty obvious just from the drop that Scott is deeply a part of the manosphere. He's talking about like some Joe Roganisms. He's deep in the Theo Von trenches, and he just starts talking about how men are the only people who can understand men. Mm-hmm. Fellow men are the only people who can really understand. And he's like, we're going to go around the circle, and the only way to speak to a man is to put your hand right on the center of their chest and tell them what's going on in your life, and tell them how they've hurt you. And I'm like, this is very interesting to me.
It was weird when he was talking about Danny and his drinking, which we'll get to in a minute, but he was like, were you a little squirrely? And Jason's like, what do you mean by squirrely? He's like, well, you're married. You got to be a little squirrely. Like all men are like hiding stuff from their wives or something. And I'm like,
This is the life coach that Jesse has chosen.
Yeah, he's so weird. Immediately, like, opens up with Jax, and he's like, you can put your hand on my chest. And I'm like, all right, weirdo. And then Jax's initial reaction is what his reaction always is, which is to be like, a lot of bad stuff's happening to me right now. And I'm like, literally every single thing in your life that is bad, you have caused.
Yes.
You are the impetus for every bad thing that you're like, I mean, I can't believe like I had to go to inpatient. Which was like somebody's house probably.
Yeah.
My wife's leaving
probably
me.
Scott's. Scott probably runs that rehab.
Yeah, literally. And then he's like, I haven't seen my kid. Meanwhile, we've seen like the B-roll of him getting like Botox and filler and getting a haircut and doing all these things and not bothering to call Brittany. And I'm like, what are you in his brain? It's so wild to me how all he can do is fixate on like, this really wasn't a good time. Like I really didn't need to be served these papers. And it's like, is there ever a good time to tell someone you're leaving them? And
Yeah, I mean, everything is always everyone else's fault. And it's like, I know I've done bad, but followed by everyone else's trash or what he perceives to be everybody else's trash.
He did it the whole episode. And honestly, like, I'm done with it. The show, I think, would be better without him. When he's on the screen, I feel sick to my stomach. I can't enjoy it as much. And I just find him so toxic and honestly so pathetic that it's not fun to watch. You know?
No, of course. And I think another part of it is, like, I think it was actually Jesse who started out the seance thing, right?
Oh,
like
yeah, when he did with Luke.
He put his hand on Luke, and I had completely forgotten that they had this, like, huge physical altercation, and he just, unloads on Luke, and, like, just made me want to get violent. And he was like, you caused it. You caused my violence.
Like, okay.
And Luke, just being a nice guy, was like, all right, man. Yeah, I'm glad we got this.
Well, I mean, it helps when the guy's like holding his arm like this on your chest.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, what's he gonna do? Kick him in the shin?
Exactly.
Come on. So Luke was like, sure, man. Like, sorry about that. Sorry you felt that way.
And this whole thing between Jason and Danny, and Danny's like putting his hand on his chest, and Danny, of course, trained in evangelicalism, is like starts by apologizing and like, hey, I'm sorry in all the ways that I've hurt you and the way I spoke about your wife, but like what you're saying about me isn't 100% true, but I hope we can just get past it. And Jason, like, just mirroring what he knows he's going to get from his wife later, is like, we can't forgive it all the way. I want it to be forgiven, but I can't forgive it all the way yet. We're going to still have to work on this.
Yeah, it is interesting. I think your point last time we talked about this is that Jason and Janet are doing what they keep accusing Nia and Danny of doing.
Yes.
Which is like getting on a storyline page and just hammering it home.
Yeah.
I did think it was interesting that we have Jax. He's just come out of rehab right there. And they're like, Danny, you and your drinking problem. And what he did admit to was going essentially to the bar to like get 3 drinks. I think what he meant by that was like a drink and a couple shots, hit the shots, carry the drink back. So it looks like you've had 1 drink. So we saw him do that in the episodes. Mm-hmm. And I just think like literally Tom Schwartz will show up to like a kid's birthday party and be like, want to do some shots? I'm just in this particular universe, doing some shots right before you walk away with a drink is not that big of a deal. And so I find it so interesting that they don't understand. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Danny does have a problem that I'm not clocking. His problem to me seems to be that he's got small children, a lack of sleep, and when he has alcohol, he does too much too fast and needs to get a lock on that.
No, I completely agree. And partially, this is all based on what they perceive about this obviously Christian couple who wants in their minds to show something on TV that's not real. And so this is the first thing they've been able to identify in their coupling that is off.
Like a crack.
Or a crack in the veneer of the
Because it's clear that
image.
Nia gets frustrated when he does it and that he's hiding it from her.
Of course. And like, you know, that's the whole thing with it, and that is why.
And that's a problem. But
oh yeah, of course. But
to
like,
be like
compared
he's an
to
alcoholic,
Jax, compared
like,
to
crazy.
even like compare the messiness of that to even what Luke and Dodie got involved in last year.
Yeah,
like it's just that like that's far more icky and cringe than anything Danny and Nia are doing now.
I will talk more about the Danny and Nia Christianity of it all because we have a license to do so at the end.
Yes.
So we can talk more about why Janet's burn was so sick. At the Mexican restaurant, we go there. Again, Sheena is in this somehow. And I just don't understand what she's adding to the Valley at this point. She's just randomly at some dinners and then says nothing. And
I mean, she obviously so desperately wants to be on the show, but I don't think the network wants the Brock and Sheena of it all. And I don't know many people who are clamoring for it, but because she's friends with these people in real life, she's able to kind of insert herself as like a secondary character.
Which hats off to when you get laid off from one job looking for another one. I get it.
I don't blame Sheena or Brock.
Yeah.
Heck, I'd be in there be like, what's going on? Oh, you playing softball today? I'm showing up.
But it's annoying because like last year, the showrunner made it a point to be like, our cast is full. we don't need more people. We're not pulling from Vanderpump. And then all of a sudden I have to see Lala on my screen. And Sheena and Brock actually irritate me less than Lala.
Oh. Yeah.
Even though, but I'm like, it's just unnecessary.
Well,
That's
Sheena
my
and
biggest
Brock
qualm.
make sense with this group. I will say that. And I will say that Sheena is a great generator of gossip freakdom. And so I'm ready for that energy, but she's not bringing it, or they're not showing it. And if she's
it's usually
like
6 degrees of Sheena, like someone new from Sheena somewhere. But you're right, this particular season we're not, and maybe they're pulling it back on purpose because people were so annoyed by the idea. I don't know.
No, that could be it too. And I mean, there's a lot of story this season, I will say. Like, I mean, they're dealing with
the same story over and over. Like, I'm sick of hearing Janet complain that Kristen said that Jason took his ring off. It's obviously not true, and no one cares.
Well, I'm talking more about like the Jackson Brittany of it all, the Luke proposing, Zach's involvement with that. Like, there is a lot of storylines going on, and to cover like That's full Brock and Sheena storyline would be a little bit much, I feel like.
Literally, Sheena's entire storyline has been like hemorrhoids.
And I mean, the whole thing is like old Vanderpump. Like, there have been interviews that say that like entire storylines in the friend group got completely cut out. That were like big life moments because of something
because
like
someone
that.
else.
Yeah, like somebody else's story kind of took precedent.
Well, let's pop back to the restaurant. I think it's hilarious that it begins with Michelle just blaming Kristen out of nowhere and being like, can you explain to me why Jesse knows that Jenna slept with my boyfriend, Aaron? And Kristen's literally like, I can't explain that to you, as I do not know.
Well, and I love that, like, she was able to still be blamed because her initial response was, who cares? Who cares who told him? Which was so funny that gave Zack a pass because Zack is the person who said it. So, like, and then in the confessional, Zack's, like, wearing that freaking that blue camo suit again. And he's like, it was me.
I have to tell you, this season, I'm obsessed with Zack. Like, he is the alpha male of the group that Jax thinks he is. Because let me tell you, the other men are afraid of Jax. He comes at them and they back off. He comes at Zack. He's like, oh, it's your show. It wasn't the last 30 days, bestie. Like, he absolutely shuts him down time and time again and is unapologetic. As soon as he leaves, and you know Jax heard this walking out, he turns around, he's like, everyone can unclench, Jax Taylor is gone. Like, he does not care, and Jax knows it. And I think that's why when he gets into it with him, he immediately leaves.
No, I completely agree. And so we're still sitting at this dinner table. Michelle's trying She's trying to generate that storyline, though.
She thinks anyone cares about Aaron. No one cares except Jesse.
Well, no. And also the whole idea of she's trying to get her moment in the sun of everybody's paying attention to Brittany, but nobody's paying attention to me, which I don't disagree with.
Yeah.
But that speaks more to how people pity Brittany than it does that they like her more than they like Michelle. They just know Michelle can deal with it.
Right. I think that's part of it.
And has been dealing with it.
I think Brittany is warm. I think she's bubbly. I do think she gets a bit of a pass because none of the women are going to feel insecure towards Brittany. I think that they don't see her as a threat in the way they see Michelle as a threat, in my mind, because you watch them clock each other on things. With Brittany, it seems like pretty much everybody likes her. And I mean, I will say, like, good for her. There are so few people like that on Bravo and TV that when I first saw her, I was like, oh, this is fake. This is dumb. And while she is not my favorite, because I do think that she has made some terrible choices that were obvious and could have been avoided, it does seem like she's a nice person. And I love hearing her say, rotten hell, Jax.
Rotten hell, Jax.
It brings me so much joy when she wouldn't meet up with him. And she was like, well, I got all these DMs. People saying you out there drunk at your bar. And I'm like, oh my God,
drunk at the bar, Jax.
I know you're out there with all those girls. You're out there with those women at your bar.
She's like, I ain't coming. Yeah. He's like, oh, you're not? You're not coming? She's like, yeah, no. I got these DMs from these girls.
I was flooded with DMs. I loved it. I love when she gets like sassy with him. It's so funny to me. But back to the restaurant, which we keep trying to go back to. Janet absolutely loses her mind on Nia. Like, for nothing.
She is hammered drunk.
She's screaming. She's clapping. It's so funny that Jasmine called her a Karen because she is looking like textbook Karen. And all of the other women are like, Janet, like, pipe down. Like, literally. Hey, actually, Michelle's like trying to physically hold her back. Nia starts crying and she's like, oh, the tears, always Nia with the tears. But the line that got me the most, that was so funny, was when she goes, hey, Nia, get your to-go plate. Bye. What?
I mean, this is why why my girl Janet, like, I mean, I do appreciate her on the show. I think she's unhinged, but
you being a Janet stan, like, really makes me reevaluate my entire life because.
Well, I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry.
I'm like afraid you would like me if I acted like her.
I mean, no, but I do like Janet. But I will say this, like, so she's never, I mean, we haven't seen Nia activated like Janet got to her, and Nia like stands up and just screams F you across the table and just screaming it, and they're bleeping it, and like Janet's kind of taking it because she's absolutely schmammered, but all the other eyes at the table are like,
yep, they are shaken.
Yeah,
they are absolutely shaken to their cores.
Yeah,
because Nia is so like, oh, it's okay. And like when she got a little bass in her voice with Janet last time, Janet got up and left when she was like, hey, you need to watch the way you're talking to me. That's all she said.
Literally.
And Janet's like, I'm done with us. And I was like, okay.
Well, that's the whole thing. It's like Nia was like crying and saying like, this is just all too much for me. It's too much. And she's like, what's too much? What's too much?
You know what? Janet's got a chip on her shoulder, and we learned why. She said at the field day that she like was practicing magic instead of doing sports. And for me, that helped me see her in a different light. I'm like, okay, this actually makes more sense.
Yeah, she was not a popular girl growing up. She was doing magic, you know.
Maybe that's why she's mean. Like, I don't know. This is like her coping mechanism.
Hey, and we love a magic. We love a magic person. We love a person who...
A magician? A magic person?
Well, who likes magic. It's not a bad thing. It's just I don't know
you mean
many...
someone who likes magic.
Yeah. And like...
Not a magician.
Yeah, and wants to, you know, be a magic stan and go to the magic stores and get all that kind of...
We're not going to yuck your yum.
Yeah.
It makes me think of that show Love, where he was like super into it and wore like the suit jacket and the pin. Yeah, do your thing.
But I don't know that you were extremely popular in high school.
It does,
I don't know
it just sheds some light on Janet, because Janet's like a little younger than us, and so we know what it would have been like in the early 2000s.
It wouldn't have played in 2003, I'll tell you that much.
No. I will say one thing that was funny because they went straight from the Mexican restaurant scene to Jack's like alone, because Brittany stood him up after she saw all the girls in his DMs. They did him so dirty, showing his bald spot like multiple times.
That, I mean, my brother, as someone who is on it, get you some finasteride, brother.
Honestly, finasteride sponsor us. Okay, we're talking about you every episode.
I'm trying to get a Hims sponsorship.
Oh yeah,
get out here, Hims. I'll do it.
Hims and hers.
Yes, hit us up. We use your services.
The shots of the back of his head were so intentionally around his bald spot. Which was a storyline last year, if you'll remember, at the beginning of the year.
I mean, because he's wearing he's always adorned in double Jack's gear from the bar. Yeah. It's like Jack's Studio City gear.
He's usually wearing like a hat of something too, or his hat from his bar.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's double gear. Yeah. He's always double geared up.
Always double geared. I will also say Brittany confirmed my suspicions that he is absolutely not sober. And he said on Watch What Happens he's been sober 200 days. And I forgot that he goes back to the rehab at some point, that he did like 2 stints of it. But yeah, because the whole time I'm like, this man is not sober. Like, he's freaking out. He's saying he's going to drink. Like, what do you mean 200 days sober? But that made more sense with like the timeline for me.
We'll probably get some information on that at the reunion, I imagine.
Oh, that's true. In Hawaii, while they were packing for Hawaii, because that's like where Luke is going to propose to Kristen, the thing I got the most tickled by was when he and Kristen were packing. And first of all, he had to have Kyle Chan watch his gecko because Kristen would track his location to Kyle Chan and know. So he had to like be prepped with that. You could this man is like hanging on by a thread. He's about to throw up every second of this episode. But when Kristen Kristen is packing and she's like, should I bring water shoes? Maybe some camo? Are we going to go fishing? You see his face turns like white. And then he goes, Nia said the girls were just going to wear like cute little outfits. And she goes, oh. And I was like, what a good man. A good man.
Like the thing is that Dodie, as with any woman who has been through the extreme relationships that she has been through and been treated like she has been treated, the first time I watched Vanderpump, I will admit, like I was not a fan of Kristen. I thought she was completely insane, crazy. The second time through, I was seeing this in a completely different light. This is a person with trauma and meaningful trauma from multiple partners, all this stuff. And like the fact that she can even like have a decent relationship is a
testament to her.
A testament to her character.
Well, she's done years of therapy.
Yes, and the fact that she's found Luke, a guy who can kind of see these things coming and be able to kind of prepare her for different aspects and like kind of like almost like not clean up after her, but he rides for her.
He does.
And I think that's what she needs. And she finally has it.
And that's what Jesse was so mad about in that ceremony. He's like, I don't like that you blindly follow your girlfriend. And it's like, oh, you just hated your wife.
Oh, let me tell you. What? I ride for you when you are dead wrong. Like you could be out here spouting lunacy, and I'd be like, she's right.
And see, that's why we've been together for 20 years.
Yeah,
that is free marriage advice. Men ride for your girls.
Yes, 100%.
Well, and I think like we can skip kind of towards the end too. Speaking of Jesse, his quest to figure out if Michelle cheated on him with Aaron is so interesting because he doesn't like Michelle. He didn't
what
like
does it
her.
Matter? Their marriage was a sham.
That's my thing. I'm like, he is not mad that Michelle left him because he loves her. He feels like he lost a game thought he was winning.
No,
that
exactly
is the
true.
issue.
That's
and
exactly
so
right.
he's hiring like a life coach. He's telling other people don't blindly follow your girlfriends or your wife. And I'm like, no, I actually respect that Luke and Jason and Danny ride for the girls, like every single one of them. And you know who doesn't and who's getting divorced? X. You know who doesn't and is getting divorced? Jesse. So I don't know. Maybe look around, read the room, buddy.
No, I don't disagree with that. That sounds 100% rational.
Also, his expectation that Aaron call him and discuss whether or not this is like an appropriate relationship was crazy.
No, that he's going to spend time with his daughter, and so he should be calling him and asking if that's appropriate and all of this. I'm like, that is the mother's, like when the child's with the mother, that's Michelle's job to make sure that that's okay and that's going well.
It was such a bizarre, but again, it's all because he feels like Aaron is winning and that he's losing. And like, he has a girlfriend. Could you imagine watching this and
Jesse
being like,
Lally is sick.
Yes,
the man is sick.
He is detestable, like for sure. All right, last thing for the Valley is the pool conversation with Nia and Janet. It is chef's kiss. Nia is funny when she's mad. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Basically, they're in the pool, and Jason and Danny are like cool, but they know the girls aren't cool. And again, they ride for their wives, so they're like kind of pretending
which
like
I
they're
appreciate
beefing.
Both of those guys for that.
Me too. So they pretend they're beefing a little bit, and they're like, "Well, what if we just got the girls over here and tried to knock this out?" And they're both kind of like, "This may not go well, but we'll give it a whirl." So Nia and Janet come over, they swim over. And Janet's like, first things first, like, I want to apologize. I had, so many margaritas. I was so drunk. And Nia goes, that early in the day?
Oh, and I was
she
like...
She ate with that.
And I'm like, honestly, good on Janet for not exploding right there because that would have sent me. That would have sent me. I would have been
Janet
over the edge.
respected it, to be honest. Well, and Janet retorted in the most vicious way that only people who grew up in evangelical like society will understand. And she says, you know what, you're right. I deserved all of those FUs. And it was so perfect because if you're like actively in that society, I don't know why I keep censoring myself. Like I can curse if I want to, but I keep not. But anyway, I think that for them, like you were saying earlier, the evangelical mindset is like, oh, I'm going to go on the show and like show them how God is good. He's blessed my marriage and there's nothing wrong. And so what Janet is doing subtly there is highlighting Nia losing it and cursing at her multiple times and saying it like, you know what? I deserve that. I took it on the chin. Like it was absolutely next level shade. I gasped. I said that Janet saying that was next level shade.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it definitely was. And I mean, and I don't think many people caught it either.
Yeah.
Like that's what was happening there.
Yeah. I think it'll be interesting to see how that develops. I kind of agree with Stassi and Katie about this season that it's been dark. And I'm tired of it being like revolving around these bozos. Like I'm done hearing about Jesse and I'm done hearing about Jax. And there's nothing in my mind that either of them can do to have a redemption arc with me as a viewer. I think they are both deeply troubled men. And the women that they were in relationships with are traumatized in a way that makes me fear for any other person who wants to be involved with them.
I don't disagree with that.
Okay. Let's move on to Love Island, episode 20, which took us on an emotional roller coaster that I certainly was not prepared for. I will say I did a 3-part on Instagram and just like a 10-minute video on the Jeremiah interview with Nick Viall today, where everything I previously believed was confirmed in terms of him being a good guy. So definitely go watch that for more of a breakdown there. But let's get into it. What did you think about last night?
I mean, what we talked about on the last episode really came true for us because we were talking about how concerned we were that somebody who was left without a partner was going to be in danger of going home. And of course, they really played that up throughout the whole episode. And we finally get to the point at which, you know, now we're going to lose 2 people. Mm-hmm. And as they go through that really slowly, we find out that for the girls, it's Alandria, who is like a crowd favorite. Everyone loves her online. I love her. You know, she just had a big moment in the whole Megan the Stallion of it all. And so like the girls are freaking devastated when they announce it.
Well, from the jump, like before we even get into the recoupling of it all, I literally felt like I watched Huda and her man talk and I have no idea what they said. It was filler word, filler word, filler word, filler word. And then it was like, you feel me? And I'm like, I don't even understand what y'all are talking about. Like, he's like, I like adventure, you know, party. And she's like, I got you. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know what's happening, but these two seem like a match made in heaven. So I'm happy for them. I think that Sierra was kind of breaking down because she had one conversation with Elan and was like, oh, this is a deeper conversation than I've had with Nick in 3 weeks.
Yeah, but like I still feel attracted to Nick. I'm worried about Nick being with other girls. Like I'm very concerned and all of that's going on in her mind at the same time. I mean, she was sick.
I know. I hated that for her. I hated it so much because her gut is telling her the truth. And women, this is why you listen to your stomach. You listen to your gut. If you suddenly start feeling physically ill, start getting a lot of acne, and you realize it is something external, it's a man. It's a man, and he's doing something. So pay attention to that because she was absolutely right. I couldn't believe TJ talking to that Salt Lake City girl who has had so much work done. I want to tread lightly because I know from watching Mormon Wives that getting a lot of stuff done in terms of like plastic surgery, filler, Botox, whatever, is very normalized in Salt Lake City.
Oh, it's cultural, yeah.
I am aghast at how much she's had done and how obvious it is that she's had it done. Obvious, she's on Love Island. She's a beautiful girl, but to be 21 or 22 and already have so much of that, I'm like, oh my God, like let your face breathe a little. Like I don't even think my face looked like an adult until I was like 28. I hate that she felt like she needed to change all of that. And it was Like between that and then like seeing the gigantic tarantula lashes, watching girls walk with their heels in the pool because they couldn't take their shoes off. I'm like, you don't have to do that. Like you could, like the beauty standards or whatever are just at a place where I can't, I've lost the plot on like what we're supposed to look like.
Well, even beyond it, like centering solely on her, like I think a lot of what we see on this show, and I think a lot of what these girls, like the output, is definitely for this like quote unquote male gaze.
Yeah.
And I think like a lot of these changes, like if this was make them feel confident, if this is how they want to change their body to look confident for themselves, they like the way it looks, like I'm all for it. Mm-hmm. My question is like, why are they feeling motivated to do it? And if it's just because they think it looks great and they want to look that way, I'm totally down for that. But if it's because it's being like there's some sort of external reason that they feel they need to do it, then that's what I question. Not the fact that anybody would want to look a certain way or modify their body or have bigger boobs or
obviously,
whatever.
Like a lot of the girls clearly have like Botox filler, lip filler, like whatever. Mm-hmm. That's so normalized. Like I get Botox every 4 to 6 months. Like I got no issues with that. And I don't have issues with it at all. But I think what makes me sad as like an elder millennial is looking at it and realizing that like we in our 20s looked younger than these girls do, because not because they look old, but because they're getting specific work done that is typically done on older skin. Like if I go in and they're like, they do every time I go in for Botox, like your cheeks have sunk in. Like, do you want that? Or they'll be like, do you want some filler in your upper lip? And I'm like, no, I'm good. Like whatever. But like they have the look of a woman in her 40s, like when you do that much.
Well, what's so funny about that too is like Carrie Coon came out in an article this week talking about how she's always being offered these roles that are much older than her because she hasn't had filler done and she hasn't had these things done. But I actually think that she sometimes looks younger than a lot of the people that she's in the movies with because she hasn't had the work done. So I don't know. I think it's just like in the eye of the beholder, you know, like, I mean, the younger generation, I think they're looking at these women and being like, that's what I want to look like.
Well,
and I don't know if that's necessarily good or bad. It's just what it is.
I don't even know that it's all male for like male gaze stuff. I think that's certainly part of it. But I think it's also like the TikTok generation, like they're seeing all of these stars that have great work done and they're starting to look like them. But the people that they're emulating are 10 and 20 years older than them. And also, people are just starting to look so similar. It's really kind of like scary and Stepfordy, like from my perspective.
Yeah.
But anyway, we can keep going to Salt Lake City. What's her name? I got to remember Vanna. So she's talking to TJ and she basically like checks him and is like, well, you were actually like pretty mean to me at the challenge. And he kind of laughs it off and she laughs it off with him. And he was like, well, at least I didn't give you all 2s. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? Like, actually, what is wrong with you? And I listened to Hannah. She was on Chicks in the Office today. And she was saying that she really did not like Austin, that Austin actually scares her. She didn't like Austin and she didn't like TJ. And it was very clear. She was trying not to say this, but basically she was like, we have values that absolutely would never work. And you can tell that had to do with like politics, I'm going to guess like bodily autonomy, things like that. And she said she got really annoyed with Austin when he was like, Charlie and I are like really similar. And she was like, no, you're not. No, you're not.
Wow. Wow.
So she gave some insight into that and said TJ was the same way. She was like, TJ walked in and was a waving red flag that everything he said was about him. Like, I'm interested in you as a woman because I need a wife to show my dad that I'm okay before he croaks. Like, that's a crazy intro. He's just telling them all the same thing.
What's so crazy is like Austin's still there going like, you know, me and my boy. And he's out here telling us like,
Austin is out there. He's like, hey, I can't even do an impersonation. Hey guys, I saw a lizard and like I took a picture of it. Do you want to see? Wow. What? Austin, I get mad at myself for liking him sometimes because I do think that based on what we know about him, his views are diametrically opposed to mine. Mm-hmm. But I'm also like, you are a simple man. Like, he's a simple man.
Yes.
But I understand Hannah being scared of him. Like, I can only imagine the stuff that they haven't aired.
Oh, I'm sure. I would love like a bloopers cut of some of these things.
My God. And then remember, like, while we're still at the villa, Nick having spittle, like white spittle crusty in the corner of his mouth while he is shit talking about Taylor again with Ace. He and Ace are over there scheming. Taylor is talking to Clark. I think they are really jealous of Taylor now. They went from Jeremiah being jealous of him, and now they're coming together to view Taylor as an issue because he had 2 girls who wanted him. Yeah. And they're both the hottest girls in the villa. And I think that they're really jealous of him already because he's vibing. But Taylor, to our point last time we talked last night, I think that he is approachable and he is funny. And one thing I've also noticed is that he actually is like listening to them when they're talking and talking with them. Like Clark talking about how she wanted to be a vet tech but didn't go to school for it. She's like, did you know you need experience? His face was like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean... She
was
crazy.
So funny. And she is a sheepoo like us. And so I immediately fell in love all over again. I thought she was so hilarious. But Nick was grossing me out there. And the scheming with Ace, I honestly think Ace is the reason that producers have left us in this pickle of emotion is they saw him overproducing, because what producers don't want is an influencer trying to self-produce.
Oh, no.
Bad for business.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely honestly agree with that.
The show, I sincerely am like, if you have more than like 15,000 followers, I don't want to see you on my screen.
No, not at first. It
threw off the vote. No, I don't want to see you on there, period. I don't think they should hire influencers for this. I think the only reason that Huda was saved is because she's an influencer and had a ton of followers and people got busy online. Like,
they don't need it. They don't need the influencer part of it.
No,
like, people
it's
watch
so good.
The show. Like, people
it's
watch
more
the show.
Interesting with people who don't care about their brands. And I will die on that hill for like every reality show. I do not want to see an influencer. Maybe like a Bravo show, like that wouldn't bother me, but if it's something like this, no.
Yeah, I don't even like it for that though. Like, I feel like there's too much like self-production.
That's true.
And I think like again, what's so great about some of these early seasons of Summer House and stuff is these are just people who don't understand what reality TV is going to do.
Right. And now the reason it gets boring is because they do understand and they have to start protecting themselves.
Yeah, protecting the brand. And that's why, like, honestly, why I'm all about like an Austin who's not, in some ways not even smart enough to realize that like these things are going to be problematic for him when he gets out.
I mean, Austin is interesting to watch, I guess. I just feel like there are a million guys who could have that personality without having vile views about other people.
Well, that's true. That's true.
I will also say Amaya Papaya she has more like sounds on TikTok coming out of this than any of them. And she is absolutely cracking me up. I hate that Ace got in her head so badly with that baby comment and like hurt her feelings. But I actually have a theory that it's helping her talk with the guys in Casa Amor.
No, it is.
And like be vulnerable with them from the jump. And so she's having really good chats with them, which, was able to bear out in the rest of the episode. But one thing I want to point out too about the difference between her and Huda, Amaya has taken L after L after L after L. This woman has, if that had been me, I would be face down East River. Like, I absolutely could not handle that much rejection. This girl was rejected essentially every single time until last night. The other times that people coupled with her, it was either because they had known her for 5 seconds or they just didn't have anybody else that they could remotely couple with.
Yeah.
And she is self-regulating in a way that is so sweet. She's doing her little affirmations. She's being vulnerable and honest and talking to the guys about it, talking to the girls about it. Even when she kissed Zack, who was coupled up with Alandria, she went to Alandria. Now, did she tell her everything? No, she did not. But she did say, like, we did this. And you could tell it was like hurting her stomach, having to why did he ask her to keep that a secret?
Well, I think it's because he didn't know what the circumstances were going to be about choosing and all of that, and he did not want to mess up the opportunity to choose or to be chosen by Olandria.
Yeah, I did not like that.
And I think that really made him look bad, but I think that's definitely what he was doing.
But he went right to his friend and told him.
I mean, I don't know why.
Yeah, I that was like very sus to me. I did not like that at all. I thought that was gross, but I'm proud of Amaya because she's not crashing out and she is like genuinely trying. She is working and she's doing it in a way that's sincere to her. And she was honest with Olandria. I think when the recoupling happened and we realized that Olandria was going to leave but wasn't dumped, ? Amaya immediately like tears and Olandria's like, this is not your fault. Go get your man. This is not your fault. Like Olandria took that in stride that I've never seen on reality television.
Yep.
She stood up there. It was like a weird humiliation ritual making her stand up there by herself. And she looked, first of all, perfect. Looked absolutely glamorous. And then she handled herself with grace. And I know it's because she's had to. She's a Black woman living in the South. I can only imagine. But I thought it was so interesting that the girls, immediately lose it. And she goes upstairs and Huda is wailing like someone has died.
Oh,
if I never hear her cry again, it'll be too soon.
Yeah, it's really upsetting to me because the whole thing, and we can get into these, quote unquote eliminations.
Right.
So Olandria gets eliminated. It seems like she's going home. She leaves. They switch over to the guys back at the villa and they go through this long process of recoupling to where Nick and Austin are basically have, what's that girl's name? Jaden, yeah. So Jaden is basically picking between Nick and Austin to decide who goes home and who stays. And she ends up picking Austin, which is so surprising in the moment. Honestly, I was shocked to my core. I think Rachel put up a story of me freaking. But I'm just really, really surprised. Nick is devastated. He feels like he's going home. He feels like his whole world has been shattered, that he's like wasted. He's just freaking.
I'm so glad it happened. I hope it was a wake-up call for him because regardless of whether or not he returns, he and Ace and Taylor thought they had manipulated this entire thing.
No one is safe. No one is safe.
That's what the producers are saying. And whatever you think is happening, it's not. We will literally change the rules to stop you from doing the gameplay that you're doing.
Well, and okay, so anyway, they're walking, or Nick's walking out, and Olandria pulls up in a car and it's like, get in. And obviously there's some sort of twist here where they're going to either be coupled up or they're going to be shoved back in once they come back to the villa or whatever, which, honestly, I feel like it's a little bit too much of a manipulation of emotion because you go through the whole thing of having to deal with the fact that two fan favorites are being voted off, which I think actually makes the show better. And then to pull the rug out from under it. And now next episode, what are we going to do when someone else has to go home? What if Shelly has to go home? What if, you know what I mean? I just feel so manipulated by that whole situation.
Well,
and I don't like it.
Apparently someone was saying that Ariana really tried to warn us when she said at least twice an episode or two ago, everyone will come back to the villa from Casa Amor. She emphasized that. I don't know. I have no idea what that's going to look like. And again, I think that they're having to do it because it's clear Ace watched at least last season and is gaming the system to try to win. And have you seen the TikToks where he's having the people he's teaching to dance say Happy Valentine's Day, Shelly?
No.
Yeah. So people are really starting to think that he and Shelly definitely knew each other and at least briefly dated prior to the show, because we know that people knew when they were cast was February-ish. because Jeremiah was saying that he had broken up with someone at the beginning of February, and by the end, he was able to be cast. They had been talking to him throughout, and he had said, no.
Well, this will all come out on future Caller Daddy. We're from
the South. We love Caller Daddy.
Caller Daddy episodes or whatever happens after this. So I'm excited about that whole thing as well.
Yeah, it will be interesting. This season is so hotly contested online. Like, people they either love it or they hate it.
Big feelings.
I have to keep watching. Like, it lost some people. They can't lose me at this point. At this point, like, I just need to know what's going on. Like, I feel like I've been bamboozled. And I need to understand where they're going with it and why. But I will say this, I would be fine with Nick leaving. Like, bye.
Right.
Bye. I'll be like, Janet, get your to-go box, Nick. Bye.
I love it. Well, so we've got an episodes coming up on Thursday and Friday and Sunday. Yep. So we'll see where we end up recording, if we do a Saturday or if we just wait until after Sunday to record again. But I'm excited about that. You can follow us at popsnitch.com. That's where all of our links live. You can follow us at Pop Snitch Pod on TikTok and Instagram. And please follow us everywhere. Go to our YouTube, subscribe, go to all of our accounts.
Tell your friends to follow us.
Tell your friends about us.
Again, we're trying to go to BravoCon with enough of a following where we can like interview people and do fun things and show you guys whatever we are able to do. So to all of you who have, thank you so much. If you want to hear more about Nick Viall's podcast with Jeremiah, but you don't want to have to watch it because it was like over an hour, I did listen to it and give cliff notes on it, and it's on Instagram in 3 parts and on TikTok in 1 part. So go give that a listen.
All right. Well, we'll see you next time.
Okay, bye.